All right, so in this video, what I'm going to walk you through is our onboarding system for bringing on new team members. And we're going to start with like the ideal and the philosophy that really makes all of this work, that will make, I think, your whole life. Once I learned this, it made my whole life easier for hiring people. So I hope it does the same for you. And then also, we're also going to, like, once we give you the whole system, I'm going to make this really easy. So if you're just hiring like a video editor or bringing on, your first 5-hour a month team member, you also know that you don't need all of this to get started. But this is what I have found has worked really well for me. And I've had a number of people appreciate how we onboard people, because a lot of companies just don't have this, especially if you're small and you've never hired anyone, you don't know how to do this. So let's get into the golden rule. This made my whole life easier once I learned it. Another agency owner that runs a really successful agency told me this, and it kind of changed everything for me, because I had a few really bad hires for like small positions, like VAs and stuff, that I was just having a hard time with them. And he told me this. He said, when you hire someone, it is now your job to make them successful. So you work for them now, and you're trying to get them to be as successful as possible. Assuming you didn't hire a total dud, and you like did your research and due diligence to find an ambitious person who wants to do good work, assume that like they want to do good work. They want to be recognized. They want to make you happy. They want to get paid well. They want to be in a good environment. And so they just need the right conditions to do that. And so that's what we're trying to create here. But again, it's just like, once you hire someone, it's your job to make them successful. So what do they need to do that, right? They need the right expectations. I think that's the biggest thing to getting started, right? Imagine you're like day one at a new job. You need to know what to expect over the next couple of months. We need to have a shared understanding of how things work. So like, how is this going to go? What is this going to look like? What are you going to be doing for us? How are we going to talk? What's the language we're going to use? How are we going to give you feedback, review? They need training, and they need coaching and feedback. Like, this is it. But I think if you can get this in your head, everything else becomes easier after that. And so how do we actually do this? I have found this is the easiest thing ever, for me at least. Like the easiest way to do this. I've tried this a bunch of different ways. So we use ClickUp, and so you could do this in Asana, you could do this in Trello, you could do this anywhere you use project management system. But when someone comes on board, they come on board and they get assigned their new team member onboarding. And this is just a small set of tasks that walk them through like, hey, welcome to the team. Here's what we need to, like, here's what to expect. Here's our communication. Here's what your role is. And being at a small business, anyone who works at a small company knows all of this changes all the time. Like, you know that, they know that, but at least we start with a shared ground of expectations. And we're saying like, hey, here's what I think is going to happen first. So I jump on a call with them. I go over this doc that I'm going to share with you, this new team member doc with them. And then it's like, what is the tech stack we're going to use? What are the tools we're going to use? How are we going to communicate? Who's our brand? Like, what do we do online? Who do we help? Who are our customers? All of that stuff. If we do tracking hourly, we use Clockify for hourly tracking. It's super easy. And then always give them like a very clear and specific first project. So I think that is super important. It's like, again, these people want to be successful. So they need a few days, a few hours to get up to speed with, like, again, tech. Are we using Slack? Are we using ClickUp? Do you use ActiveCampaign? Like, depending on what their role is, what's the tech, all that stuff. Who are the teams? Who do they need to talk to? And then, like, yeah, what does this very first thing look like? Just to get them started. So this is what everyone gets assigned, and like, this is the first thing they do is go through this. And now we have shared expectations and a shared understanding of how things work. This new team member doc. So I put this together for everybody, and this last like part is really important, but it's just like, again, super high overview. Hey, thanks. We're super happy for you're here. Here's who we are. Here's who's on the team. Here's who you're going to be working with. We're super happy to have you. What do we do? Where can you find us online? What are our plans coming up next? And how do you fit into that? And then I'm a real big believer in having everything written down. So like, what is your role here? Again, knowing that this is all going to change over time, but at least we're starting with a shared understanding of like, what are your responsibilities in the beginning? So there you go. And then this is, I think, the most important thing. And if you don't know what this is, you just make it up and you just tell them like, this is what I expect, knowing that all of this could change. But here's where we would like you to be in the first 30 days. So like for this role, this was for a content creator, like junior copywriter working for us. So it's like by the end of 30 days, you should know our products, our services. You should have seen our past content. You should be in Slack talking with people. We should have a content schedule, and you should actually be creating content. Like this is what I would expect for you under 30 days. Here's what I would expect from you under 60 days. And here's what I would expect from you in the first 90 days. So getting them from how are we getting started to, you know, absolutely nothing to like, hey, you're now up to speed and you're up and running and you're taking responsibility for things. We're not just giving you tasks, but you like own outcomes, you know, and like we can get you there in 90 days. And then like, what are your first steps for like right now? Like, okay, cool. This is your day one thing. You know, what do you need to do? You need to get our tech stack, check out the team member handbook. I'll show you that here in a second. Not if you're just getting started with your first hire, you probably don't need this, but I found this to be helpful. So again, I'll give you the ideal and then we can break it down. And then, and then we'll get going. So, I send this to everybody right when they get started so that now we have this, like, again, I'm setting the expectations, I'm letting them know how we work, and I'm giving them a clear guidelines to move forward. So I've had a few people tell me like this 30, 60 day plan has been super helpful because they go back to this regularly and think like, cool, am I on track? What do I need to know? Because again, if you hired a good person, they want to do good work. This gives that expectations. So other than that, here we've just kind of gotten them up to speed and given them a first project. The other thing that I find really helpful, and this is something I started doing for us a while ago, is just do trainings by role. So anytime we have a role that's really important, I create one of these and I just start dropping all of the like SOPs and tasks that they need to know how to do segmented by role. So this is just a project in our ClickUp. You could do this in Asana, you could do this wherever. Because often what I found with a lot of companies, this happened to us, is we have all these SOPs and processes and all of these things, but they're just in a spreadsheet or a G Drive. We use Confluence, but like there's a ton of information in here. It's easy to get lost. So this just connects it to what their role is and how they, like, what are the things they need to learn how to do. And it's probably easier to show you. I've hired a lot of media buyers, trained a lot of media buyers. So like, this is what our media buyer one looks like, where it's, you know, like we will assign this to people and the expectation, part of their onboarding team stuff is to like go through this in the first 30 days. And this gives them a really good understanding of how we do things and what we expect from them and gives them that training. The thing is with this though, for me to build this, all I did was start dropping stuff in here as I was going through. And like when I was the media buyer, I was just dropping stuff in here that I was learning how to do so that I could train the next person. And so when you have it here in your ClickUp or your Asana or whatever, again, this is their first week, their first couple of days in your company. And then this is their first month of like, this is the training that they have. And a lot of these are just SOPs. Some of these are just little notes that I wrote. So, you know, they don't necessarily have, they're just like, links to stuff. Some of these are just Loom videos, you know, so it's like, some of these are just Loom videos, but it's all here, you know, and it was pretty easy for me to do this over time, and make these things. And again, this was for like a full-time position. So if you're just hiring a video editor, we'll talk about the simplified version, but I have found that to be, these are like the things I would do if I was getting ready to bring on a new part-time person for a new role. I would start doing this before I ever hired anybody so that by the time they get there, we know their training and the SOPs and the outlines and processes and all the stuff they need to know. And then I would set one of these up and then you just copy and paste this and fill this out for every new team member, depending on what their role is. This I found to be really helpful once the team started growing. This is Confluence. This is where we host all of our SOPs and stuff. But people just had questions like, you know, what's the tech stack that we use? You know, so like, what are the tools that we're using? What do I do if I need to take time off? What do I do if I'm sick? That sort of thing. So I started hosting this in here. And this is a resource that everyone on the team has. You don't need this at the beginning, but I did find that this was helpful once these questions started coming up of like, cool, what are our company holidays? What do I do if I'm sick? How do I take time off? We have so many courses and trainings that people have access to. So like, where are those? All of that sort of thing. This was helpful. And this is a tool called Confluence, like $10 a month. So that's it. Dumbing this down and making this super simple if you were just hiring for the first time, let's say like a video editor, and all they're going to do is edit videos for you, but you still need to get them up to speed on what it is, still just like a best practices doc. So like same thing. You want to go back to these people want to do a good job and be successful. They just need the right expectations and an understanding of how things work. So in our Confluence, we just have a request that's templatized, and everyone gets best practices and what to do when they're done. So it's like we use Frame to do edits and feedback. So it's like this is it. So you can start with simple stuff like this, because I've made the mistake before where I hired a VA and I just said, this is what I need you to do, but none of this existed. And so I didn't get what I wanted because I wasn't able to demonstrate what I wanted. And once we started doing stuff like this, and these are just living docs that keep getting updated as we learn things and as we change things and as we want things to improve. It's easy to show people what your expectations are and what you want. And two, if that person doesn't work out and you need to hire another person, it's always easier to hire the next person because you've built a foundation upon which you can grow, like how you hire and onboard people. So that's it. That's what I found to be super helpful. So I hope you found this video helpful. Again, this was the golden rule for me, is like, my job is to make them successful, because once they're on board, everything we just walk through is all of this. And then going forward, it's coaching and feedback. So it's like we meet every 2 weeks, every month, every quarter, whatever that is, depending on if it's a part-time role, a full-time role, a 5-hour a month role, whatever that is. But they get feedback and coaching. And if you hired the right person, they'll usually be successful with this. So that's it. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, let me know. Feel free to share this also too, if anybody else that you think might find this helpful as well. I hope you have a great one, and talk soon.